Well, I ain't wrote a poem in a while, and I wrote one tonight. It's called Pride. And it's kind of like that story Mr. Nightlinger told on the Cowboys there in the bunkhouse. And they said, well, is that story true? And he said, if it isn't, it ought to be. Well, 1,000 times the tale's been told, sailing on that mighty sea so bold, hunting the great white whale, old Moby Dick, with a long sharp wooden harpoon stick. Captain Ahab, he plumb lost his mind, would have chased the beast till the end of time. At last they met out on the open waves, and that old peg-leg scamp found him an early grave. Now those sea-going tales are sometimes the best, but I've got one to match it from out here in the West. Now I don't recollect the exact geographical locale, but for 12 months a year it could sure hide a cow. To get through them thickets without drawing blood was like trying to stay dry outside in a flood. The cattle was wild, the country was mean, the horses was rank, and the cowboys was lean. They lived off hardtack and straight alkali. Their horses ate rimrock and shit malpai. The boss and the owner was one and the same, and at no time in his life was he ever called tame. He could be cross and unsettled and a killer of men, but the punchers he hired would charge hell with him. Abraham Archibald Beaumont was his name, but he just went by Ab, and what answers the same. He burned in his wild cowhide the AA slash. On his horses, he burned a big B on their ass. He worked his cattle, I've heard some of them say, from New Year's till about a week after Christmas Day. 7 days at a time they'd sleep on the ground, then 7 more would pass by without going to town. It went on this way, it was root hog or die, till they got 1 day off on the 4th of July. One morning, way down there by Wicked Mule Pens, old Ab with his saddle come flat-footing it in. There was blood on his cinch and blood on his head. He says, boys, my best horse, old Salty's dead. He says, boys, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you right, old Salty put up one hell of a cow fight. We jumped a maverick big as I've ever seen, wild as mountain scenery and the color of fresh cream. I stuck him deep and he could still breathe. We must have wiped out 13 acres of trees. We rim-fired some limestone with a rough, jagged shape, but I couldn't get that damn nylon to break. He stuck old Salty and darn near stuck me, but old Salty kept kicking till I got plumb free. My rope finally broke in the heat of the battle. That's the closest I've ever come to losing my saddle. Now the way that I see it, and my thoughts are bona fide, old Frosty's the only reason that I'm still alive. So history and reason may label me a fool, but I figure I owe Salty one cream-colored bull. Ab says, you fellers stay hooked and I'll double your pay. I can't let that horse-killing brute get away. I've still got my saddle and I've still got my pride, and I'll chase that land whale as long as I can still ride. Well, search for him they did as the sun would circle round. From canyon rim to bottom, no trace could be found. Meals became uncommon and water was a treat, till one day they told Ab, boss, we just got to eat. They said Ab rolled his eyes around crazy in his head and said, I'll throw some beans in your grave you can eat when you're dead. Then he rode off alone as late dusk turned to night. We all laid down to rest, then right about first light, we awoke with a start to big trees being shattered, the beller of a bull and some loud cussing chatter. I've got you now, demon, we heard old Ab babble. You horse-killing bastard, you'll never get my saddle. That's the last time we seen him for his horse he bequeathed. He was sitting in his saddle with nothing underneath, still tied to that bull the same color as cream, with his clothes ripped to shreds. We still heard him scream. I've still got my saddle and I've still got my pride, and I've still got you, damn your big white hide. So next time your pride starts to make you a fool, just remember that naked cowboy still tied to that bull. Y'all keep snapping.